I rise to speak to the Enhancing Online Safety for Children Bill 2014. In my roles as the Australian Greens spokesperson on mental health and schools, I'm acutely aware of the challenges facing young people and their parents and teachers when it comes to online safety. I'm particularly aware of the mental health implications for young people who are trying to navigate the online world, but often find themselves in very problematic situations, with online bullying and harassment a reality for too many. In Australia, we have a youth mental health crisis on our hands, with hundreds of young Australians losing hope and indeed even ending their own lives before their lives have really begun. Suicides have a ripple effect across homes, schools and whole communities. Particularly in country areas, the tragedy of a suicide reaches beyond those immediately affected to the broader community, because often those communities are small and tight-knit, and many people will be aware of what's occurred and have connections with the person who's taken their own lives. And these can then have serious implications ongoing for the mental health of many. The statistics are very concerning. Our young people are now more likely to die by suicide than in a car accident. The 2014 Children's Rights Report by the Children's Commissioner, Megan Mitchell, examines suicide and self-harm among young people. It's extremely concerning in parts, as it details the real extent of this issue and the tragic loss of life which results. The report also gives us a clear sense that the issues surrounding youth mental health and wellbeing are complex and not easily fixed. Indeed, not easily understood, which is why a great deal more research and better data sets are needed in this whole area. We know that young people are under a great deal of pressure these days. Growing up has probably always been tough, but these days we know that technology can make it even tougher. There's no doubt that the online world can be a difficult one for young people to navigate. Certainly, as the parent of 3 young adults, I've seen the journeys that my children have taken and their friends in terms of the many benefits of being 24/7 switched on to social media, but also the downsides as well. Certainly, of course, the internet provides a possibility of wondrous and amazing sources of information, great convenience in terms of all sorts of interactions, and exceedingly good relationships. But of course it can also be a portal to traumatising images and brutal behaviour, and I can't help but think that we are doing a big experiment on our young people these days. I still remember going into my daughter's bedroom about 11 o'clock at night when I heard her sobbing when she was about 15, and found that she had been contacted by phone from a friend who was having a difficult time and had been woken up and was upset at that. And it just raised for me just increased my awareness that once upon a time, when you had one telephone attached to the wall and you had to take your turn in speaking on it, and if you were a teenager and you wanted to speak on it too long, your parents would get annoyed and impatient with you. There was a natural limit on how much you could be in contact with the outside world when you were at home. But it seems that obviously these days young people can be in contact with the pressures as well as the joys of the outside world at any time of the night or day. A 2014 study from the Social Policy Research Centre of the University of New South Wales estimated that 20% of young Australians aged between 8 and 17 have been victims of cyberbullying during 1 year, with 463,000 children estimated to have been affected. We know that increasing numbers of children and young people have access to the internet, particularly now on smartphones, and that in 2011 the Australian Communication and Media Authority identified social media as the primary form of digital communication between children over 13 years of age. If we take those statistics into account and then consider the sobering statistics we face in relation to the general mental health of young people in Australia, we realise what a complex picture we have to consider. Last year, Mission Australia and the Black Dog Institute released a report which found that 1 in 5 young Australians are likely to be experiencing some form of mental ill health or mental illness. We know that half of all lifetime mental health disorders emerge by the age of 14 and 3/4 by the age of 24. So clearly adolescence is a crucial time in a person's life when it comes to their well-being and their mental health across their lifetime. And while the statistics paint a worrying picture, it's also important, of course, to acknowledge how many wonderful, dedicated people are working throughout Australia to improve the situation for young people in this country and the creative, innovative solutions they're generating, including a preponderance of solutions that actually use online programs to assist young people, which is a vehicle that, of course, many young people are very comfortable with and would sometimes be their preference. There are the big organisations such as ReachOut.com, the Butterfly Foundation, Headspace, the Young and Well CRC, Origin Youth Health and many others who are all doing exceptional work to assist young people in Australia. But I'd also like to mention the little ones. And these are actually often generated by young people themselves using the online environment to help themselves and to help their peers. They might be websites, they might be school-based clubs in some cases, or Facebook pages that have been started and are driven by young people doing it for themselves, reaching out to their peers to offer support and understanding and assistance. And really it's a bit like peer work, that often these will be young people who have experienced cyberbullying and therefore are much more able to offer that consolation and that assistance and support to their peers because that removes that sense of being judged for what a person's going through, which is one of the essences of why peer work can be so effective. So an instance that I'm aware of is the What About Me Facebook page, which is convened by 2 young people, Millicent Warne and Billy Russell, started in South Australia. And indeed I met Billy when I was doing a school visit, who had started a club at his school to support students who were being bullied. An amazingly mature and compassionate young man of about 16 when I met him. And it's interesting that he and Millicent Warne have started this What About Me Facebook page, which has been taken up with absolute enthusiasm by many, many young people and have an amazing number of likes there. And it basically specialises in allowing young people to talk about the difficulties that they're facing, and it offers support and helps them to feel strong, and it focuses on providing positive, affirming messages on that Facebook page. We also have clubs like the Gay Straight Alliance at Unley High School, which was part of the Safer Schools Coalition, which is a wonderful young organisation who then made a wonderful film about the importance of young people being able to be proud of who they are. And I guess this brings me to the wider consideration of how we tackle this, this increasing, it seems, difficulty of young people, their mental ill health or their well-being in society, and the way then that cyberbullying and other forms of attack can undermine their well-being. It seems to me that we need, as a society and a community, a broader conversation about how we can build resilience in young people, but basically in all of us, I suppose, what it is about allowing and enabling people to take control of their lives so that they are less susceptible to the judgments and the toxicity that might be thrown at them by other people. And it seems to me that one of the core aspects of that is creating a society where we are inclusive and respectful, and we actually celebrate the fact that people can be proud of who they are as unique individuals, whatever their characteristics are. So, amongst other things, this bill establishes the Children's E-Safety Commissioner and sets out the Commissioner's functions and powers. It also establishes a complaint system for cyberbullying material targeted at an Australian child. One of the key functions of the Children's E-Safety Commissioner will be to administer the complaint system. Now, the Australian Greens have some concerns about this bill because we would be concerned to think that this would be considered some kind of a panacea to what is a nuanced and complex problem which affects many, many young Australians. I know that my colleague Senator Ludlam has talked about our responses to the bill, but I guess in the end the question has to be predominantly how effective and how practical will this bill be. And it's interesting to note that, of course, there's this impressive tome here, which is the interim report of the Joint Select Committee on Cyber Safety that was published in June 2011, Highwire Act, subtitled Cyber Safety and the Young, which actually took a lot of submissions, a lot of consideration of evidence there about the issue of cyber safety and how to keep young people safe, and ended up providing a significant list of recommendations which reflect the complexity of this particular issue. 32 recommendations in all. None of those was for a Children's E-Safety Commissioner, as it turns out. So I think that one of the things that I would really be wanting to say is that we need to consider the capacity of the mental health system to be able to assist and support young people who are experiencing mental ill health as a result of bullying that they've experienced, but also how, as a community and a society, we can actually create conditions that foster resilience, that foster respect, that foster well-being. I will mention the clear evidence that we know that one of the most effective ways of dealing with cyberbullying is to educate parents and teachers about how to handle such situations and to educate children themselves from a young age. And again, it's about assisting children to understand why other people may be doing the cyberbullying too. In some cases, assist to take the sting out of what's occurring, to build resilience, and to give them strategies for conflict resolution, for being able to, if you like, deconstruct the situation of what's going on. And ultimately, it seems to me, to give children the ability to find and believe in their own value, which will make them more able to withstand some of the things that they're experiencing. But what I want to do here is just have a bit of a critique about the effectiveness at the moment of our mental health system to be able to support the young people who are actually being severely affected by this kind of cyberbullying. We know, for a range of reasons, that a significant proportion of young people are experiencing mental health challenges. I talked about that a bit earlier before. But I want to ask, what does it look like to create a caring society where all young people can actually have access to the support and services they need to live long, full and healthy lives, to get through the tricky time of adolescence and emerge into being young adults and then grow older and understand and to be safe and to be as well as they can be. How do we create—
Senator Wright, it being 7:20 and a bit, and you'll be in continuation, but I do propose the Senate do now